Good happens after midnight. Jack Black, I'm coming for you. Yesterday, I watched Fantastic Four First Steps, and I kind of want to talk just like general thoughts I had about it, in case somebody wanted a plebes perspective. I'm just gonna say it. Good movie. I enjoyed it quite a lot, and just to give you a little more context of where I'm coming from here. Yes, I don't know anything about the comics or anything about the source material. I mean, I knew like who the Fantastic Four were and like what their abilities were and stuff, but that was about it. I'm not like super invested in like the canon or adhering to the source material. As that kind of person, I can say very confidently this was a good movie. Like this was a pretty good movie. Like not just like a good Marvel movie. It was like legitimately a good movie. I really enjoyed it. The thing that I personally care the most about when it comes to a movie is the story. I think a lot of people are this way. I'm not like unique, but like I really care about story. Like I care about story so much that I hated F1, and I might talk about that at some point. Hate's a strong word. I wasn't impressed by F1. I enjoyed like watching the car stuff. This isn't an F1 video. I'm sorry. I'm getting sidetracked. I'm a sucker for a good story, or at least a well-crafted story. And this story is definitely well-crafted. It basically revolves around the Fantastic Four, but it's more than just like a superhero story, which I always appreciate because I think people are getting tired of just like a flat out superhero story. Um, Although, like, I mean, really, if you look at any superhero movie, any good superhero movie, it's never just a superhero movie because like every story needs to have that human element in order to maintain that relatability factor because that's how you like get your connection with your audience is some level of relatability. And so being able to really connect with this one was, pretty good. And to be fair, they went for like the lowest possible bar of like relatability, which is family. Like basically everyone can agree that there is value in like in family. Low hanging fruit, yes, but the low hanging fruit is sometimes the sweetest. There's a fly in here. Fly! Stop it! There are so many lights in this room. Pick one. Sorry. This fly flies in front of my face one more time. I'm gonna throw whatever I'm currently holding at it, and this mic is like $1,000. Fantastic Four. Anyway, my favorite thing about any movie is the story, but more specifically, it's the characters. It's the way that the characters progress through the story and the way that they are portrayed in the film. Are they consistent with their character? Do we care about them? Are they unique? Are they interesting? Are they likable? Are they not likable? But if they're not likable, why do we still like resonate with them and find them interesting and root for them? Like these are all like things I like to think about. And so like going through the characters here, there were a lot of things that people generally seem to really like this movie, which makes me happy. But I definitely see every once in a while I see the stray comment that's saying like Pedro Pascal wasn't a good like or wasn't the best choice for Reed Richards, and he was really more of like a they cast him because it's fucking Pedro Pascal. And I guess I could sort of see that and how like that probably is the case. But as someone who doesn't have like a like I watched a Cosmonauts video about like on the Fantastic Four's First Steps, and he didn't diss Pedro Pascal. Like I haven't seen anybody say that Pedro Pascal does a bad job. People are praising him for doing a good job, but they are saying he wasn't like the best. And like me personally, as someone who didn't I don't really know what Reed Richards is supposed to be like. I don't have any preconceived interpretation of the character. So when I watched this movie, I was just immediately like, oh, that's Mr. Fantastic. There you go. And he does a really good job. And I think I'll talk about his character first, actually. What I really like about him, and everything I'm saying here is stuff you're going to notice when you watch the film. I'm not pointing out any crazy, like, deep Easter eggs. Like, these are all super simple observations. But, like, I always appreciate these sorts of things in a character because, like, Reed Richards being one of the smartest, if not the smartest person on the planet, and he bears the responsibility of that, and he carries that burden because he knows he's the smartest person. And so in his mind, anytime something goes wrong, that's something that he should have accounted for, that's something he should have dealt with. He carries an warranted an inhumane amount of burden on himself. Um, and sure, yes, he's a superhero, but he is human. Like the core of the character, the core of any good character is ultimately human. Um, and Reed Richards has to kind of struggle with that because he has to deal with carrying the literal weight of the world on his shoulders. Um, Without realizing that he doesn't have to do it alone. He has his family. And yes, again, that goes back to the family thing. I will say the way they beat the big bad, pretty good. I liked it. I think it's established pretty well. That's something I'm going to talk about. I was going to go through all the characters. Uh, I want to talk about the writing. The writing's pretty good. Fantastic Four made it clear that you can still establish an entirely new world with new characters that's like completely different from anything else people have seen. And you can do that without the text crawl. You know what I mean? This just became a critique on Superman. That's not what this is supposed to be. For example, at the very end, and this movie really like deals, it addresses the whole thing of like when there's a big fight scene in a city and buildings are being destroyed, people live in those buildings and they die. Now, to be fair, Avengers Civil War does kind of address this. But other than that, I don't think I've ever really seen it addressed. This movie does that very well. And it also, I think, speaks to the way that it handles its writing. Basically, what I'm saying is it does a really good job of using Chekhov's gun. And basically any like major like point of the movie or element within the movie serves more than one purpose that I noticed. I've only seen this movie once, by the way, in theaters yesterday. So, shoot, what the fuck was I saying? Oh, oh yeah. So, dealing with the fact that people live in cities, which is also where the majority of superhero fights happen. They deal with this by moving everybody below ground. And how can they possibly like move like an entire city below ground? Well, you see, there's actually a mole society. Maybe mole's like a not a politically correct term, but like there are subterranean people living like under the crust of the earth. And this not only adds a really interesting like pop of world building, it also adds it's also established early on at the very beginning as one of the bad guys because like their leader basically tries to steal one of the skyscrapers from the city that the Fantastic Four live in, which I don't know what city that is. I don't know if it's New York. There's a fly there. And so because it's a nice piece of world building, it establishes that they exist and their underground society exists. And then later on, that's used in order to. I never really thought about it until they addressed it in this movie, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, people fucking live in buildings. So yeah, like that's a nice little touch, and I think it kind of illustrates it. There is like the scale of this movie is kind of big. Like yes, it's worldwide, and that's another thing is like this is the end of the world they are addressing, and that's a very common like scale for superhero stakes, like the world. That's pretty common. But this movie does make it feel like it actually matters. Like the fact that the entire world is about to be destroyed. People are legitimately like like everyone's told, hold your loved ones tight. Say the words that you've been holding back, cuz in a couple of days or like a couple of months, whichever, you're all going to die. And it's a very morbid tone that you don't expect in a Marvel movie, but it not only introduces and maintains that tone, it does it consistently. It doesn't like compromise it with any like out of place Marvel humor, which I think Marvel's pretty known for that at this point. And yeah, I thought the writing was pretty solid. The CGI was pretty good. Like I didn't notice anything crazy with like cinematography. That's something that I guess I can kind of talk about because that's something that I particularly notice. And I'm not the only one. I'm not special, but like, that's something I find really cool in movies. It's not the most important. It's not as good as like the story, but good cinematography and a good score and all of those other like secondary elements those really can take a good story and make it like a fantastic experience. God fucking, I need to stop making that pun. I'm not doing it on purpose. Cinematography's really good. There's some really good shots in this movie that was just like, huh, they didn't need to go out of their way to make it look that good, but they totally did, and I really liked it. Like the design of everything, like I know everyone's talking about like the retros, like the retro futuristic aesthetic. I won't talk about it too much because everyone else has already talked the shit out of it, and you could see it for yourself in the trailer. And it's like it is like that for the entire movie, and it's really interesting. It's really fun. And I did of course enjoy that because I think that's what we all really want from our movie experiences. If we want something different, we want something that is worth us paying money to see because it is different and it makes us feel something. And I think that's like the most important thing that a film can do is make you feel something. And one thing this movie made me feel is just awe. Maybe not awe, although there were a couple moments that were definitely like, but I don't know what that face was. I did not make that face in the theater, but it was like that. Oh, I keep getting distracted. Galactus, super fucking cool. I think here's a little detail that I haven't seen anyone mention yet, but that I personally really liked. Galactus is a more human character than I expected. Now, granted, he's not the most complex character. He really just wants one thing, which is, well, what the thing is basically, and his past isn't like dumped out for us, which I super appreciated. But you can kind of piece together what his past was like. And basically, like millions of years ago, he used to be, he says in the film, I used to be tiny once, something along those lines. But basically, something happened that basically made him huge and filled him with this unnatural hunger that drives him to basically roam the galaxy, eating planets. And the reason why he wants Franklin, which is Reed and Sue's son, is so he can pass on his hunger and free himself from this life that he's been living for literal millennia to Franklin as like his sort of successor of this curse. And like that's a weirdly human motivation, and I did really appreciate that. But I also liked a little small, that wasn't the small detail. The small detail is that he wears this freaking like sci-fi Viking helmet, and like I don't know how to explain this. The eye slits, they're like they're like glowing light coming through, but sometimes at certain points in the film, they like it's like the lights covering his eyes turn off and you can see his eyes. And that, I don't know, for me that really humanized him. It's such a small detail, but it kind of goes to show that like there's still a little bit of empathy left in him, but he's far past the point of ever like going into that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, it made me like the character even more. It's like not only he's not just a big bad, he's a big bad that has a semblance of like an emotional state and possibly a soul. Like I don't know, little thing, tiny detail, but I liked it. Haven't mentioned this yet. Silver Surfer. That was pretty cool. A lot of people were super pissed that Silver Surfer was a woman. And I guess I sort of see that if you're like really into like comic book accuracy. Although I've also seen people say that there's like, because it's fucking comic books, so like for every male hero and villain, there's a female hero and villain. But like there's the female like counterpart in like an alternate dimension. So I guess in this dimension, Silver Surfer is a woman. I didn't care. I just thought she was cool. Like I don't know. One thing I didn't love about her was that her story's kind of exposition dumped towards the finale, and it's for a good purpose, and it pays off kind of well for Johnny actually for his piece in the story. But as far as like I don't know. I feel like they could have done something else to make me like particularly care about Silver Surfer, but they did a good job of making her cool, of making her like a badass for sure, but also like human. And that's kind of I think that's kind of the theme here. And I wish this was the theme in like every superhero movie I watched, which was that all of the characters seem human. All of the characters are struggling with a very human thing. And I've been talking for a while, so I'll just kind of touch on them because, like, For Silver Surfer, it's guilt. For Silver Surfer, her whole thing is she's the herald of Galactus. She is his messenger. She not only she finds planets for him to eat, basically, and she brings him there to do it. And she warns the people there that it's going to happen. And she's doing this. She agreed to do this in order to protect her own planet. But because of her, like, you know, billions and billions and possibly trillions of people have died. So that guilt is later played into. But she's sort of like, it's not the most complex. She doesn't get like an arc. She does kind of get an arc, but it's a pretty shallow arc. It's a pretty shallow arc. And I don't think there's a need to spoil that, but basically what happens is she, you know, it's implied throughout that she's kind of shut off her emotions to it. She's becoming apathetic to it, but she's not like, she hasn't been able to fully shut that out. And, you know, that does play a small-ish part in the film. Well, I guess it depends on your definition of small. Time-wise, it's small. Impact-wise, it's pretty big. Sue Storm, that's another thing that people found weirdly controversial. I was watching this movie, and not a single time was I like, oh, Sue Storm's the leader. Like, we could probably possibly say that she's the main character. I don't think that's a bad thing. But she's definitely not, like, the leader. It's not like they sidelined the men so that Sue Storm could be, like, a Mary Sue Storm. Like, that's not what they did at all. Like, she is clearly human, and yes, she has, like, a fiery spirit to her. But the whole time I was watching this, I wasn't thinking, oh, they're trying to make women, like, they're trying to do a feminist thing. And I watched it, and I was like, oh, like, this isn't about her being a woman. This is about her being a mother. This is about her, like, I'm stealing this directly from Cosmonaut. She is the heart of the team. And that comes with being the mother and her caring so much about her son, which I think a lot of mothers in particular could probably relate with. And anyone who's had a mother, hopefully could relate with. I know it's not always easy. But I don't know. I really liked her place in the story. And I think the casting for her, Vanessa Kirby, the casting for everyone, really well done. Like, The Thing, I thought it was pretty cool. Like, his whole thing is that he's like, and what I like about this is never, like, it's implied, it's never, like, fully played into, and I kind of like that because there wouldn't really have been time in the movie to do that, like, to do that in a satisfying way, but it's implied and it's shown that he misses being human. He's not a human anymore. Like, The Thing has a human soul, but he is a rock monster, essentially. But deep inside, where it matters, he is still human. And so a part of him does, like, still yearn for that sort of connection with other people. There's not much more than that. He doesn't do too much more in the film, which I didn't notice. I think, like, he filled exactly the spots he needed to. Again, I didn't have any pre-existing, like, expectations for any of the characters, so The Thing not playing a super big role wasn't a particular issue for me. I don't know. I liked him. I liked the parts that he played. He's a pretty solid supporting character. And then, yeah, obviously Johnny, like, I don't know anything about Johnny, like, before this movie, but I could definitely see how that kind of character could have been done pretty poorly. And I like how, yeah, I like how they portrayed him. He does come off as a bit of, like, a hothead. That pun was kind of intentional. Like, he comes off as maybe, like, he kind of has, like, asshole energy, I suppose, but he's not an asshole. Like he really does care. He just handles it in a different way than everybody else. And you could see his desire to be useful. You can see his desire to prove his worth to the team. And that plays out and motivates him throughout the whole thing. Like, he plays it off, but you can tell that he feels like one of the more insignificant members of the group. And he's not. He's not anywhere near, like, an insignificant member of the group. And he proves that, like, in the movie. And I thought that was pretty good, especially because at no point in the movie was I watching and I was like, and I heard somebody say, "Man, I feel like such a loser. I feel like I guess that'd be extreme, but he would never say that, which is kind of the point. But, like, he didn't say, like, man, I wish there was a way for me to prove that I'm like just like that, and I could get people to see that I have good ideas too, and like I can do things that matter as well. Like there was never anything like that. It's not a huge part of the story at all. But when you analyze and just look at what he does in the story, at least for me, that was pretty apparent to me that that's what was happening there, and I really appreciated that I can do that. And What else is there to talk about? I mean, there are other like more specific things. Like, yeah, they go to space. I think the way they go there is pretty cool. Like throughout the movie, I thought like anytime there was a problem and like there was a solution to that problem, I always thought, damn, that's kind of cool. Like that's kind of cool. That's like that was genuinely a smart way to deal with that. I'm gonna spoil this one, but basically, Silver Surfer is chasing them from Galactus's like planet-eating ship that they went to in order to talk with him to negotiate. But then, of course, he wanted their son, so they fucking left and ran for it. But Silver Surfer's chasing them. They bring her to this black hole, and basically, what they do is Sue turns the ship invisible. Oh fuck. I don't think I'm gonna be able to explain this accurately. Like, you should just watch the fucking movie. And like, if you're watching this movie and I've just been spoiling the shit out of it for you, you should just stop because there's still a ton of great stuff I think you'll really enjoy if you just watch the fucking thing. Um, I'm just gonna say, if you watched the movie and you remember how they got away from Silver Surfer, I found that super fucking impressive. The design of the ship and the way that they like that extra piece that connects to it in order to allow them to go into the wormhole. I don't know. I thought that was a cool, not only was it like a cool design, it also played a key part in helping them escape in a way that felt realistic and natural, but also like you'd have to be like pretty smart and understand how it worked in order to ever do that. And I thought that was pretty cool. Like that was the case with basically everything I ever saw in the film. And like there were a lot of parts, there were a couple parts in the film where I was like, holy shit, that's pretty cool. I actually really like that's pretty cool. When they first meet Galactus, the sheer scale of Galactus and the way that they portray it, very well done. Loved it. He's genuinely like terrifying. Like, and I mean that in the best possible way. He was genuinely like it's pretty cool. I liked it. I liked the way they portrayed him quite a lot. Um, and then probably the other one that comes to mind is when they basically their plan. I'm about to spoil the finale, so please, 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 if you haven't seen it, this is the last time I'm saying this. If you're not listening, then fucking fine, do what you want. But I'm about to spoil the ending. Basically, I'm about to spoil the big plan at the end. But basically, they build a bunch of teleportation like beacon things around the entire Earth, and they basically try to teleport the entire Earth somewhere far away where Galactus won't find them. That is their plan. Obviously, it doesn't go quite as well, and that's because right as they're about to go, Silver Surfer shows up, and she freaking destroys all of them. And there's this like, it's a pretty nice like 30-second, maybe a minute long sequence. Maybe not that long, but like you can see like Silver Surfer like freaking booking it across the planet. Like you're looking at the surface of the Earth and you're watching her like destroy all of the beacons, just like one after another, going across the entire planet. And like the way that they did that, I was just like, very well done. Very well done. I really enjoyed that. Oh, is there anything else I can say? Anything else? I don't know. I enjoyed it. I hope that Avengers Endgame doesn't fucking ruin, not Endgame, Avengers Death Note, Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday. I really hope that doesn't ruin these characters or like anything that was established in this movie, because I know they're going to be a part of it, and like there's a mid-credit scene and an end-credit scene that kind of leans into that, and I'm excited to see where that goes. Really hoping they don't ruin it, because I liked this movie a lot. But yeah, if I had to give it a score, I'd give it a solid like 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, yeah. I've been talking a lot, but hey, I get to practice my editing skills. Oh, my throat's sore. But yeah, I'll see you later. I don't know what to do here. Like and subscribe and shit. Fuck, wait, let me walk over here. So this, I'm trying this thing I've seen YouTubers do. I think it's kind of cool. This right here is it's a video that I've made and I liked it and I enjoyed it. I think it's about spoons. I don't fully remember, but I'm gonna put the one about spoons here. And then this one is the video I made yesterday, which hopefully, like, you don't have to watch it. It's literally called Don't Watch It, but you can watch it if you want a little bit of insight into just what it's like to have a conversation with me when I'm talking to myself. God, I'm not good at this. Bye.